Stranger than the spooky, adventurous and loony, they're all together ooky, the Bud family. Their trips are amazing when people come to see 'em. They really are amazing, the Bud family. History, ghost, art. So put on a witch's shawl on, a seat so you can relax on. We're gonna play a call on the Bud family. Alright, welcome to Wayback Wednesday. I'm tired. Apparently I'm coming down with a cold. I want to take a moment to thank all of you who joined us for our vow renewal. I know it was kind of weird and unusual, but you know, this is us. And those who joined us for the ghost hunt afterwards. We got our first video over 1,000 views. It may not happen again, but that's very exciting, so I appreciate all that. Okay, and today's video is about Disney, the wonderful world of Disney, or actually the Disney Corporation. So hopefully you find that interesting. Disney's played a big role in, I think, everybody's lives, but not everybody likes everything that they do, but I like many of the things that they've done. I won't say everything. So today's race, you are all going to be pretty princesses, because it's Halloween, and Disney is famous for their princesses. So you guys get to be pretty princesses today, whether you like it or not. Thank you for holding. My name is Sue. Can I have your name, please? Okay. Oops. There's Bobby. There's my Linda. There's Blistering. There's Principal. To eat, 6 bows, glitter, any field, face, tissue, driving. There's Betty. There's Zool. There's my Linda. There's Shadow. There's Stack. There's Prime. There's Strong Mind. There's Rowdy. There's Consume. And Brad and Steve and Tina. And Principal and Lynch. And Royal. And Jody. And Moon. And there's Peter. Let's see, who else do I see? There's A-Space. It's going to be Bobby. Her name is Chastity. Written recipes in video description. Spinach, mushroom, and feta egg muffins. I almost said omelet. Sounds like something Angel would like. We got a building a patio. So she does food and home stuff. Lots of food, though, which is really good. Update on her spouse, which is always fun. Good to keep your peoples up to date. So she's also got some shorts. If it decides it wants to load. Again, mostly food related, but there's a few pretty just kind of naturey ones. No lives in a while, but definitely some interesting food videos if you're into that, so check her out. Like, share, comment. Have a good day. You laddie. She's a laddie. Actually, it's kind of appropriate considering what we watched today.
Yes. Because, again, straight out of Disney.
Welcome to the wonderful world of Disney. Sort of.
Sort of.
All right, tell them why we're telling them about Disney.
Well, tell
that made sense.
Yes.
Don't worry about me.
For you Disneyites and Disney fans and anything of cartoons and creations and stuff like that, we got a treat for you today. This day in history. You got to go back to 1923, and if you remember the origins of Walt Disney, they originally had the wonderful concept of developing the Walt Disney Company. And on this date, back in 1923, they came from an early edition in 1921. The animators of Walt Disney and Herb Iwerks founded Laugh-O-Gram Studio in Kansas City, Missouri. Iwerks and Disney went on to create short films at the studio. Now, their final one in 1923 was entitled Alice's Wonderland and depicted children actress Virginia Davis interacting with animated characters. While Laugh-O-Gram shorts were popular in the Kansas City area, the studio would go bankrupt that year, and Disney would move to Los Angeles to join his brother Roy, who was recovering from tuberculosis. Well, shortly after Walter's move, the New York film distributor Margaret J. Winkler purchased Alice's Wonderland, which began to gain popularity. Now, Disney signed a contract with Winkler for $1,500 to create 6 series of Alice comedies, with an option for 2 more 6-episode series. Well, Walt and Roy would found the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio on the 16th of October, 1923 to help produce the films. In January of 1926, the Disneys moved to a new studio on Hyperion Street, and the name was changed to Walt Disney Studio. Now, after producing the Alice films over the next 4 years, Winkler handed the role of distributing to the studio's shorts to her husband, Charles Mintz. In 1927, Mintz asked for a new series, and Disney created his first series of fully animated shorts starring a character, not Mickey Mouse.
No, it was a bunny. Oswald.
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. The series was produced by Winkler Pictures and distributed by Universal Pictures. The Walt Disney Studios completed 26 Oswald shorts. On the 28th, Disney and Mintz entered into a contract dispute, with Disney asking for a larger fee while Mintz sought to reduce the price. Disney discovered the Universal Pictures owned the intellectual property rights to Oswald, and Mintz threatened to produce the shorts without him if he did not accept a reduction in payment. Well, Disney declined, and Mintz signed 4 of the Walt Disney Studios' primary animators to start his own studio. Iwerks was the only top animator to remain with the Disney brothers. Well, Disney and Iwerks replaced Oswald with a mouse character originally named Mortimer Mouse, before Disney's wife urged him to change the name to Mickey Mouse.
I can remember Mortimer.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yep. And in May of 1928, Mickey Mouse debuted in test screenings of the shorts Playing Crazy and The Galloping Gaucho. Later that year, the studio produced Steamboat Willie, the first sound film and 3rd short in the Mickey Mouse series, which was made using synchronized sound, becoming the first post-produced sound cartoon. The sound was created using Powers' Cinephone system, which used Lee DeForest's phonofilm system. Pat Powers' company distributed Steamboat Willie, which was an immediate hit. In 1929, the company successfully re-released the 2 earlier films with synchronized sound. Well, after the release of Steamboat Willie at the Colony Theater, New York, Mickey Mouse became an immensely popular character. Disney Brothers Studio made several cartoons featuring Mickey and other characters, and in August of 1929, the company began making Silly Symphony series with Columbia Pictures as the distributor, because the Disney brothers felt they were not receiving their share of the profits from Powers. Powers would end his contract with Iwerks, later starting his own studio. Carl W. Stalling played an important role in starting the series and composed the music for early films, but left the company after Iwerks' departure. In September, theater manager Harry Wooden requested permission to start a Mickey Mouse Club at his theater, the Fox Dome, to boost attendance. Disney agreed, but David E. Dow started the first such club in the Eisnorth Theater before Wooden could start his.
Uh-oh.
On December the 21st, the first meeting at the Ellsworth Theater was attended by about 1,200 children.
I remember Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, yeah.
Vaguely. It was something I watched when I was at my grandmother's house in the summers. M-I-C-K-E-Y, M-O-U-S-E. Sorry.
Now, on July 24th, 1930, Joseph Conley, president of the King Features Syndicate, wrote to the Disney studio and asked the company to produce a Mickey Mouse comic strip. The production started in November, and samples were sent to King Features. On December the 16th, 1930, the Walt Disney Studios partnership was reorganized as a corporation with the name Walt Disney Productions Limited, which has a merchandising division named Walt Disney Enterprises and subsidiaries called Disney Film Recording Company Limited and Title Realty and Investment Company, the latter of which managed the real estate holdings. Walt Disney and his wife held 60%, or 6,000 shares of the company, with Roy Disney owning 40%. Now, the comic strip Mickey Mouse debuted on January 13, 1930, the New York Daily Mirror, and by 1931, the strip was published in 60 newspapers in the U.S. and 20 other countries. After realizing releasing merchandise based on the characters would generate more revenue, a man in New York offered Disney $300 to license and put Mickey Mouse on writing tablets he was manufacturing. Disney accepted, and the Mickey Mouse became the first licensed character.
Ooh.
In 1933,
the
Disney,
first notebooks with these actuators.
and in 1933, Disney asked Kay Kamen, an owner of a Kansas City advertising firm, to run Disney's merchandising. Kamen agreed and transformed the Disney merchandising, and within a year, he had 40 licenses for Mickey Mouse, and within 2 years, had made $35 million worth of sales. The thing that's kind of impressive about this is you got to think about what was going on in our country at the time. This was when the Great Depression was going on. And yet here they were able to organize these great big contracts and these licensing deals over a cartoon character. It's kind of crazy. 1934, Disney said that he made more money from the merchandising of Mickey Mouse than from the character's films. The Waterbury Clock Company created a Mickey Mouse watch, which became so popular it saved the company from bankruptcy during the Great Depression. During a promotional event at Macy's, 11,000 Mickey Mouse watches sold in one day, and within 2 years, 2.5 million watches were sold. As Mickey Mouse became a heroic character rather than a mischievous one, Disney needed another character that could produce gags. Disney invited radio presenter Clarence Nash to the animation studio. Disney wanted to use Nash to play Donald Duck, a talking duck who would be the studio's new gag character. Donald Duck made his first appearance in 1934 in The Wise Little Hen. Though he did not become popular as quickly as Mickey had, Donald Duck had a featured role in Donald and Pluto in 1936 and was given his own series. Now, after a disagreement with Columbia Pictures about the Silly Symphony cartoons, Disney signed a distribution contract with United Artists from 1932 to 37 to distribute them. In 1932, Disney signed an exclusive contract with Technicolor to produce cartoons in color until the end of 1935, beginning with the Silly Symphony short Flowers and Trees in 1932. The film was the first color cartoon and won an Academy Award for Best Cartoon. In 1933, The Three Little Pigs, another popular Silly Symphony short, was released and also won an Academy Award for Best Cartoon. The song from the film, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf, which was composed by Frank Churchill, who also wrote other Silly Symphony songs, became popular and remained so through the 1930s and became one of the best-known Disney songs. Other Silly Symphony films won for Best Cartoon Award from 1931 to 1939, except for 1938 when another company film, Ferdinand the Bull, won it. So talk about your monopoly.
Right.
Now, in 1934, Disney announced a feature-length animated film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It would be the first cel animated feature and the first animated feature produced in the U.S. Its novelty was a risky venture. Roy tried to persuade Disney not to produce it, arguing it would bankrupt the studio, and while widely anticipated by the public, it was referred to some critics as Disney's folly. Walt directed the animators to take a realistic approach, creating scenes as though they were live action. While making the film, the company would create multi-plane cameras consisting of a piece of glass on which drawings were placed at different distances to create the illusion of depth in the background. After United Artists attempted to attain future television rights to the Disney shorts, Walt signed a distribution contract with RKO Radio Pictures on March 2nd of 1936. Walt Disney Productions exceeded the original budget by $150,000 for Snow White by 10 times. The production eventually cost the company $1.5 million. Well, Snow White took 3 years to make, premiering on December the 12th, 1937, and was an immediate critical and commercial success, becoming the highest grossing film up to that point, grossing $8 million. In today's money, that's almost $175 million.
Wow.
And then after a re-release, it grossed a total of $998 million in the U.S. adjusted for inflation. Using the profits from Snow White, Disney financed the construction of a new 51-acre studio complex in Burbank, which the company fully moved into in 1940, and the company is still headquartered in. In April of 1940, Disney Productions had its initial public offering. With the common stock remaining with Disney and the family, Disney did not want to go public, but the company needed the money. Shortly before Snow White's release, work began on the next features, Pinocchio and Bambi. Pinocchio was released in February 1940, while Bambi was postponed. Despite Pinocchio's critical acclaim, winning Academy Awards for Best Song and Best Score, and is lauded for groundbreaking achievements in animation, the film performed poorly at the box office due to World War II affecting the international box office. The company's third feature, Fantasia, in 1940, introduced groundbreaking advancements in cinema technology, chiefly Fantasound, and early surround sound system, making the first commercial film to be shown in stereo. However, Fantasia similarly performed poorly at the box office. In 1941, the company experienced a major setback with 300 of its 800 animators, led by one of the top animators, Art Babbitt, went on strike for 5 weeks for unionization and higher pay. While Disney publicly accused the strikers of being party to a communist conspiracy, firing many of them, including some of the studio's best.
Oh dear.
Roy unsuccessfully attempted to persuade the company's main distributors to invest in the studio, who could no longer afford to offset production costs with employee layoffs. The anthology film The Reluctant Dragon in 1941 ran $100,000 short of its production cost, contributing to the studio's financial woes. While negotiations to end the strike were underway, Walt and the studio animators embarked on a 12-week goodwill visit to South America, funded by the Office of the Coordinator of Inter-American Affairs. During the trip, the animators began plotting films, taking inspiration from the local environments and music. As a result of the strike, federal mediators compelled the studio to recognize the Screen Cartoonists Guild, and several animators left, leaving it with 694 employees. To recover from this financial loss, Disney rushed the studio with the fourth animated feature. Any guesses?
Jungle Book.
Huh?
Jungle Book.
Nope.
Damn it.
Dumbo.
Oh.
It went into production on a reduced budget. This performed well at the box office, infusing the studio with much needed cash. After the U.S. entry into World War II, many of the company's animators were drafted into the Army. 500 United States Army soldiers occupied the studio for 8 months to protect the nearby Lockheed aircraft plant. While they were there, the soldiers fixed equipment in large sound stages and converted storage sheds into ammunition depots. The United States Navy asked Disney to produce propaganda films to help support for the war.
Donald!
Huh? Donald?
Donald.
Yes. And the studio, badly in need of profits, Disney agreed and signed a contract for 20 war-related shorts for $90,000. Most of the company's employees worked on the project, which spanned films such as Victory Through Air Power and others, which included some of the company's characters. In 1942, Disney would release its fifth feature film, Bambi, after 5 years of development, and it performed poorly at the box office. Later, the products of the South American trip, Disney would release the features Saludos Amigos in 1942 and The Three Caballeros in 1944. This was a new strategy of releasing package films, collections of short cartoons grouped to make feature films. Both performed poorly. Disney released more package films through the rest of the decade, making Make Mine Music, Fun and Fancy-Free, Melody Time, and The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad to try to recover from its financial losses. Disney began producing less expensive live-action films mixed with animation, beginning with Song of the South, which would become Disney's most controversial film. As a result of these financial problems, Disney began releasing its feature films in 1944. In 1948, it began premiering the nature documentary series, True Life Adventures, which ran until 1960, winning 8 Academy Awards. In 1949, the Walt Disney Music Company was founded to help with profits for merchandising. Well, in the 1950s, Disney returned to producing full-length animated feature films, beginning with Cinderella, its first feature in 8 years. A critical and commercial success, Cinderella saved Disney after the financial pitfalls of the wartime era. It was the most financially successful film since Snow White, making $8 million in its first year. Walt began to reduce his involvement with animation, focusing his attention on the studio's increasing diverse portfolio of projects, including live-action films, of which Treasure Island was the studio's first, television, and amusement parks. In 1950, the company made its first foray into television when NBC aired 1 Hour in Wonderland, a promotional program for Disney's next animated film, Alice in Wonderland, and was sponsored by Coca-Cola. Alice was financially unsuccessful, falling $1 million short of the production budget.
Oops.
In 1953, Disney's next animated film, Peter Pan, was released to financial success. It was the last Disney film distributed by RKO after Disney ended its contract and created its own distribution company, Buena Vista Distribution. According to Walt, he first had the idea of building an amusement park during his visit to Griffith Park with his daughters. He said he watched them ride a carousel and thought it should be some kind of an amusement enterprise built where parents and children could have fun together. Initially planning the construction of an 8-acre Mickey Mouse park near Burbank Studio, Walt changed his planned amusement park's name to Disneylandia and then Disneyland. A new company, WED Enterprises, now Walt Disney Imagineering, was formed in 1952 to design and construct the park. Drawing in its inspiration from amusement parks in the U.S. and Europe, Walt approached the design of Disneyland with the emphasis on thematic storytelling and cleanliness, innovative approaches for amusement parks of the time. The plan to build the park in Burbank was abandoned when Walt Disney realized 8 acres was not going to be enough to accomplish this vision. 8 acres, that's tiny.
Right? I understand that you wanted to start small.
Yeah. Disney would acquire 160 acres of orange groves in Anaheim, southeast of LA in neighboring Orange County, at $6,200 per acre to build the park. Construction would start in July of 1954. To finance the construction of Disneyland, Disney sold his home at Smoke Tree Ranch in Palm Springs, and the company promoted it with a television series of the same name aired on ABC. The Disneyland television series would be the first in a long-running series of successful anthology television programs for the company, which was a success and garnered over 50% of its viewers in the time slot, along with praise from critics. In August, Walt formed another company, Disneyland Inc., to finance the park, whose construction cost totaled $17 million. In October, with the success of Disneyland, ABC allowed Disney to produce the Mickey Mouse Club, a variety show for children. The show included a daily Disney cartoon, a children's newsreel, and a talent show. It presented by a host and talented children and adults called Mouseketeers and Mooseketeers, respectively. After the first season, over 10 million children and 5 million adults would watch it daily, with 2 million Mickey Mouse ears, which the cast wore, were sold. In December of '54, the 5-part miniseries, Davy Crockett, premiered as a part of Disneyland, starring Fess Parker. According to writer Neil Gabler, it became an overnight national sensation, selling 10 million Crockett coonskin caps. The show's theme song, The Ballad of Davy Crockett, became a part of American pop culture, selling 10 million records. Los Angeles Times called it the greatest merchandising fad the world has ever seen. In 1955, Disney's 50th animated film, any guesses?
No.
Think spaghetti.
Oh, Lady and Tramp.
Yep. Was released, performed better at the box office than any other Disney film since Snow White. Disneyland opened on July 17th, 1955, was a major media event broadcast live on ABC with actors Art Linkletter, Bob Cummings, and Ronald Reagan hosting. Garnered over 90 million viewers, becoming the most watched live broadcast to that date. While the park's opening day was disastrous, restaurants ran out of food, the Mark Twain riverboat began to sink, and other rides malfunctioned, and the drinking fountains were not working in the 100-degree heat, the park became a success with 161,000 visitors in the first week and over 20,000 visitors a day in its first month. After the first year, 3.6 million people had visited, and after the second year, 4 million more guests came, making it more popular than the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone National Park. That year, the company earned a gross total of $24.5 million compared to the $11 million the previous year. Now, Disney continued to delegate much of its animation work to the studio's top animators, known as the Nine Old Men. The company produced an average of 5 films per year through the 50s and 60s, featuring films such as Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, and The Sword in the Stone. Sleeping Beauty was a financial loss for the company, and at $6 million, had the highest production cost up to that point. The 101 Dalmatians introduced an animated technique using the xerography process to electromagnetically transfer the drawings to animation cells, resulting in a transformed art style for the studio's animated films. In 1956, the Sherman brothers, Robert and Richard, were asked to produce a theme song for the television series Zorro. Zorro! The company hired them as exclusive staff songwriters in an arrangement that lasted 10 years. They wrote many songs for Disney films and theme parks, and several were commercial hits. In the late 1950s, Disney ventured into comedy with live-action films The Shaggy Dog in 1959, which became the highest-grossing film in the U.S. and Disney at over $9 million, and The Absent-Minded Professor, starring Fred MacMurray. Disney also made live-action films based on children's books, including Pollyanna and Swiss Family Robinson. Child actor Haley Mills starred in Pollyanna, which she won an Academy Juvenile Award. Mills starred in 5 other Disney films, including The Parent Trap, and another child actor, Kevin Corcoran, was prominent in many Disney live-action movies, first appearing in a serial for the Mickey Mouse Club, where he would play a boy named Moochie. He worked alongside Mills in Pollyanna, and then starred in films such as Old Yeller, Toby Tyler, and The Swiss Family Robinson. In 1964, the live-action animation musical film Mary Poppins was released to a major commercial success and rapturous critical acclaim, becoming the year's highest-grossing film and winning 5 Academy Awards, including Best Actress for Julie Andrews in Poppins and Best Song for the Sherman Brothers, who also won Best Score for the film's Chim Chim Cheree. Throughout the 60s, Dean Jones, whom The Guardian called the figure who most represented Walt Disney Productions of the 60s, starred in 10 Disney films, including That Darn Cat, The Ugly Dachshund, The Love Bug. Disney's last child actor of the 60s was Kurt Russell, who had signed a 10-year contract. He featured in films such as The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit, The Barefoot Executive, and The Strongest Man in the World.
I know most of those.
Yeah. In 1959, Walt had an idea to build another park in Palm Beach, Florida, called the City of Tomorrow, a city who would be full of technological improvements. In 1964, the company chose land southwest of Orlando, Florida, to build the park and acquired 27,000 acres. On November 15, 1965, Walt, with Roy and Florida's Governor Hayden Burns, announced the plan for a park called Disney World, which included Magic Kingdom, a larger version of Disneyland, and the City of Tomorrow at the park center. In 1967, the company made an expansion to Disneyland. More rides were added in 1966 and 1967 at a cost of $20 million, and the new rides include Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, which had the first attraction to use audio animatronics, Walt Disney Carousel of Progress, which debuted in 1964 New York World's Fair before moving to Disneyland in 1967, and Dumbo the Flying Elephant. On November the 20th, 1964, Walt sold most of WED Enterprises to Walt Disney Productions for $3.8 million after being persuaded by Roy, who thought Walt having his own company would cause legal problems. Walt formed a new company called Retlaw to handle his personal business, primarily Disneyland Railroad and Disneyland Monorail. When the company started looking for a sponsor for the project, Walt renamed the City of Tomorrow Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, or Epcot. Walt, who had been a heavy smoker since World War I, fell very sick and died at the age of 65 in 1966 of lung cancer at St. Joseph's Hospital across the street from the studio. Well, in 1967, the last two films Walt had worked on were released: the animated film The Jungle Book, which was Disney's most successful film for the next 2 decades, and the live-action musical The Happiest Millionaire. After Walt's death, the company largely abandoned animation, but made several live-action films. Its animation staff declined from 500 to 125 employees, with the company only hiring 21 people from 1970 to 77. Disney's first post-Walt animated film, The Aristocrats, was released in 1970. According to David Kerr of Chicago Tribune, the absence of Walt's hand is evident. The following year, the anti-fascist musical Bedknobs and Broomsticks was released and won the Oscar for Best Special Visual Effects. At the time of Walt's death, Roy was ready to retire but wanted to keep Walt's legacy alive. He became the first CEO and chairman of the company. In May of 1967, Roy had legislation passed by Florida's legislature to grant Disney World its own quasi-government agency in an area called Reedy Creek Improvement District. Roy changed Disney World's name to Walt Disney World to remind people it was Walt's dream. Epcot became less of the City of Tomorrow and more of another amusement park. After 18 months of construction, the cost of around $400 million, Walt Disney World's first park, the Magic Kingdom, along with Disney's Contemporary Resort and Disney's Polynesian Resort, opened on October 1st, 1971, with 10,400 visitors. A parade with over 1,000 band members, 4,000 Disney entertainers, and a choir of U.S. Army marched down Main Street. The icon of the park was the Cinderella Castle, and on Thanksgiving Day, cars traveling to the Magic Kingdom caused traffic jams along interstate roads. And sadly, in 1971, on December the 21st, Roy would die of a cerebral hemorrhage at St. Joseph's Hospital. Don Tatum, the senior executive and former president of Disney, became the first non-Disney family member to become CEO and chairman. But for a dream that started back in the 1920s and now has Walt Disneyland and Walt Disney World, they still put out some pretty good shows, including one of my favorites. They did the Black Hole, but the Tron series, started touching back on that, getting back to the animation fun stuff. But Walt Disney, thank you for your gift to the United States and the world, and we hope it just keeps right on going, because Tron Ares was just something neat tonight.
We had a blast with that one night.
Both the kids enjoyed the heck out of it. They're already looking, hopefully, to what will come up for the future, because what was so cool with it, they're not going to ruin it. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Go watch it yourself, guys. It's fun. And apparently, it also has been doing really well in the theater. So, but this has been the Bearded Historian, and we will see you campers next week.
No, we won't.
No, we won't. Okay, I'm retiring.
You're retiring? So you go to sleep. I see.
I'm taking a long nap.
I see.
Uh-huh. Bye.